Hi, I'm Wayne Hudson, coming to you again today from the home of grace in Van Cleve, Mississippi, on A Cup of Grace. Today we have a wonderful friend of mine who a while back came through our program, and he's been around the world 3 times since then, not really, but almost. And he's back to visit with us again today, Robby Rodrigue. Robby, welcome to A Cup of Grace, and welcome back to Van Cleve. Tell us what you've been doing since you left the Home of Grace. And when was that you came through the program and graduated from the Home of Grace?
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I graduated the program in August of 2016. I stayed for a while through 3rd phase. And during 3rd phase is when I had the calling to just leave my career and go to Bible college out in the middle of nowhere. So the past 2.5 years I've been at Heartland Christian College.
Yeah. Now tell the folks where that is, because everybody is not familiar with Heartland.
Well, Heartland is in Newark, Missouri. It's the northeast corner of Missouri. Heartland is an intentional Christian community that has a men's and women's rehab center, a Christian college, a boarding school, and plenty of businesses around to help.
And lots of cows, right?
Yeah, cows and corn. And I'm a southern boy where they had sugar cane and crawfish, so it was quite a difference for me.
Mm-hmm. And the temperature was too, I bet.
Oh, goodness, it was like 6 degrees most of the year.
Now, while you were at Heartland, what's the thing that affected you the most up there, changed your perspective most of all when you were at Heartland?
Oh, Heartland is really, really dear to my heart.
That's why they call it Heartland, right?
Of course, I went there with the intentions of getting a degree in biblical studies so I could eventually come back here and maybe work as a counselor. Well, the degree I earned at Heartland is just a bonus compared to the family. Before I came to the Home of Grace, I viewed relationships as contractual. You do for me, I'll do for you. Through Home of Grace, and then especially Heartland, after 2.5 years of Heartland, I know the value of family and what it means to have relationships with people and how important it is to lean on each other. You know, it's just what God commands us to do. Love Him and then love each other.
Yeah, and if we do that, everything else falls into place.
It does. Everything has been falling right into place. Not always comfortable.
Yeah.
But God gives us what we need to get through the day.
Well, bring us up to date just a little bit about where you are right now and what you're involved in. You have a ministry that you're a member of or participating in, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I work for a ministry called alumni. My official title is Director of Ministry, maybe like an outreach pastor. alumni gets involved with the families. We focus on mental health, just helping the family practically. My area of concern mostly is working with churches and rehab centers, getting churches involved with the family of an addict. Say like if I'm in rehab center and I have a wife and 4 kids at home, we want to reach out to the local churches to reach out to the family. You have a mechanic sitting in the pews, a carpenter sitting in the pews, young children, 18, 20 years old that may think they have nothing to do with the church. You can go love on this family. A carpenter can do minor home repairs, mechanic, oil changes. Kids can help with babysitting. Young men can go out there, cut the grass. We just want to get the churches involved with loving the family, let them know that they're loved, and just walk them through the process. And LROI also has counselors, that we have resources to get counselors to help with the wife and the family, because they are just as wounded as we are as addicts. Most of the time, even more, because they get unnoticed. You know, all the addicts get poured into at places like the Home of Grace. I mean, I was here for 5-6 months, and nothing but love and Jesus. My kids sat at home in the same state.
Wondering what's up.
Yeah. Daddy comes home and he's praising God, and they're still the same. It was a radical change, and we want to get the families acclimated to the change that's going to happen and get help for them. You know, let the church do the church's job.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm gonna reach out to rehab centers and let them know we are available. So if there's a men and women in there that's looking for a local church to get involved with their family, we'll reach out to those churches and get them connected. We want to bridge the gap between the family and the church.
Okay. I'm excited that you're that involved in ministry, because I can assure you, without even knowing the details, because you haven't told me, that wasn't your focus before you came to the Home of Grace, right?
No, it wasn't.
And so there's been a radical change that's taken place in your life, and it all came from getting things right with God, having an intimate walk with Jesus Christ, and a whole new perspective on life, right?
Yes.
And old things were passed away, and all things became new. Man, it's amazing how that works.
Extremely new.
And it's only through a right relationship with Jesus Christ that's possible. So when the dust settles on all of this and on Robby's life, it all comes back to those choices and decisions that you made to give your heart and life to Jesus, right?
Yes.
And there's a trickle-down effect that takes place too. And it affects, as you mentioned just very briefly a few minutes ago, the family. Mm-hmm. And that's what is really exciting when we see the life changed of one of our former clients, and that trickle-down effect begins to take place, and the lives of his family begin to change as well. They buy into what happened to Dad or Mom, and it's wonderful to watch that. It's almost like a flower blooming, and when it comes to full bloom, that means the whole family has come into the kingdom. Tell me, if you will, Robby, what you see now in your future.
Oh, goodness. In my future, well, of course I came here, it all started here, the pouring in that y'all did to me. I love the Home of Grace. When I come back here, I actually feel this is home plate. You know, I've come back home.
Home.
I am home. Of course, I went through 2 years of training at Heartland, and this next step, this ministry work, is just the next step. And I'm looking at it as more training. For some reason, God has a lot of work for me to do in ministry, but I need to be prepared for it. And this next step is just getting me more prepared for the step after. I look at it like I say, you know, it's a mountain that we climb. It's never going to be easy, but it's worth when we get up to the top of the view. El Roi is not what I planned on doing. Like I say, I planned on getting this degree and going on for a bachelor's degree, which I intend to do eventually. But right now, this is what God has me doing, focusing on this ministry and then just pulling people in, bringing them closer to God. And that's my passion, you know. And wherever God takes me, that's where I'm going to go. I've learned to walk in His will. It's not always comfortable, but He always gives us what we need. You know, He gives us our daily bread, our manna. And it's definitely worth it. Yeah. I have more riches today than I ever had in my life. And it's funny to say that because I work for a ministry as pretty much a volunteer right now.
Right.
But everything I need has been given to me, and I don't want for anything.
Well, I can vouch for that, not just for you, but for me as well, in that when I surrendered totally to Christ, and I'm not talking about my salvation because I'd been a Christian for a long time, but when I finally said, Uncle, I give, and surrendered totally to Jesus Christ, and He took me to a whole other level, and it involved volunteer work. And I'm 16 years down the road now with that volunteering, and He just keeps blessing me and blessing me and blessing me. So you and I have a kinship there, and I know exactly what you're saying because I've lived it. Robby, it's been an incredible pleasure to see you again and to have you in our studio here at A Cup of Grace at the Home of Grace. Thank you, my brother, and I'll look forward to having you back again next time you're available.
Yes, sir.
God bless you.
I'll be around a lot.
And you folks back home, God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us today for another session of A Cup of Grace. And we'll see you next time.